Seattle defense has been fantastic these past few years, and especially, and it's unfortunate because that team is definitely getting stripped away, and only getting one Super Bowl out of it. It's like any powerhouse team. It's weird, Like Seattle was, I would say, destined for three Super Bowls, and they only had one. Boston Celtics when they had KG. Like, I'm a Celtic fan. I thought we were gonna win three titles. We only won one title that entire time. So it's weird that when you bring so much talent in there, you think you're gonna win a lot, and then you only win, if none, you at least win one, and that's it. It's weird, but it makes you appreciate sports, and how difficult it is to win, and that's what's exciting about sports. But anyway, let's first take a look at this entire defensive side of Seattle. And we start with defensive end Jacob Green. Jacob Green is a two-time Pro Bowler, and he played with the Seattle Seahawks from pretty much the 80s and early 90s. He racked up around 97.5 career sacks. That was at least recorded. This is a guy that had 16 sacks at one point in a year. This is a guy that had multiple fumble recoveries. He had multiple pass deflections. And he was able to even get 3 interceptions. A veteran guy that's played his entire time, and very underrated. People don't know much about Jacob Green. He was an NFL rookie team, and he did get to the Pro Bowl twice. Unfortunately, he didn't get exposed because of Seattle football not really being really good in that time. But fantastic player. Jacob Green was killer. All right, now right by his side, we're gonna have Hall of Fame D tackle Cortez Kennedy, one of the few guys inducted in the Hall of Fame from Seattle, but not the last guy for sure. He is a Hall of Famer. He's won the Defensive Player of the Year in 1992. He was an 8-time Pro Bowler. He was a 3-time All-Pro, and he's been on the All-Rookie team. He's even been on the first team All-1990s team. When it comes to Hall of Fame wise, like, this is a guy that was pretty dominant from 1990 to 2000, the 10-year span. He was able to rack up over 600 tackles, over 50 career sacks. He was able to get fumble recoveries, fumbles. Definitely forced a lot of fumbles, and he even got 3 picks in there. Played over 150 plus games. Just overall key factor for this team. A team that really, like I said, Seattle has not been a fantastic team for a long time. It's pretty much been the 2000s and 2010s where Seattle was fantastic. Other than that, you're looking at, typical Seattle teams. They have their few key guys, and then the other guys are just not great enough, and they don't get to win a title because they're just, it's not there. But overall, Cortez Kennedy is one of the most feared defensive tackles of all time, and he is very underrated. All right, now right by Cortez Kennedy, we're gonna have Joe Nash as the second D tackle, and Joe Nash was a one-time Pro Bowler as well as a one-time All-Pro. He played from 1982 to 1996, all with Seattle. Was able to rack up over 800 tackles, 47.5 sacks, several fumble recoveries. He was able to have 1 pick, and he also played in over 200 games. So this is a guy that was very much so mobile and very reliable. I mean, he played in a lot of games, He did have those occasional injury-prone seasons, but he was still a fantastic nose tackle, D tackle kind of guy. And it's exactly who you need. You need a big guy, and you need a run stopper. I think him and Cortez together are going to be phenomenal. And honestly, they're all very underlooked defensive players out here in Seattle. But I believe that this line can prove a lot of things, especially since I'm closing it out with a recent member of the dynamic Seattle defense as a D-end. Michael Bennett. D-end Michael Bennett. That's the guy that's going to be the last D lineman starting wise, and he is a newly acquired Philadelphia Eagle. He is a part of the Philadelphia Eagles now. I believe they signed him to like 2 years contract around there. And I think he's going to do fantastic things out there in Philly, and I know Seattle's going to miss him. Um, Overall, when he was a part of the Seattle Seahawks, he balled. He balled a lot, and that's why he's a three-time Pro Bowler, and that's why he got a Super Bowl championship, and that's why when they did get back to the Super Bowl in '49 with the Pats, he balled out, man. Like he literally he gave it to Tom Brady. So honestly, anything that he could have done, he did, and he's a guy he's not gonna get double-digit sacks many times, but he's gonna do the things that aren't in the stat sheet. He's gonna get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. He's gonna definitely go 110 miles an hour every play, every single play, and he's not gonna stop. He's not a quitter. He's a fighter, and he's a funny guy. So I think it brings a more looser feel to this team. As long as he doesn't do some of the stuff he has in the past with Seattle with money and wise, they'll be fine. But I do believe Michael Bennett is one hell of a football player, and the fact that he's got over 50 sacks, he's played in over 100 games, he's racked up over 300 tackles, and he's been able to do things outside of the stat sheet. Overall, this is going to be a very good defense, and as you can tell, it's a 4-3 defense, and I think they're definitely going to rely on that front four a lot out there in Seattle. All right, now let's take a look at the linebackers of the Seattle Seahawks, and it's going to be Chad Brown as the first outside linebacker, first linebacker overall that I'm talking about. Chad Brown, the guy that got drafted by Pittsburgh, went to Seattle, and played from 1997 all the way to 2004, so 7 good years over there. And he got to be a 3-time Pro Bowler. He got to be a 2-time All-Pro. He had, I would say, more success in Seattle. And again, this is a guy that didn't do too shabby in his career, but people don't talk about him much. I mean, this is a guy that had over 1,000 tackles, had over 50-plus sacks. I mean, 79 sacks to be exact. Had fumble recoveries, had fumbles, had forced fumbles, had pass deflections. He had a bunch of stuff, and this is a deadly guy. This is a guy that can low-key be that X factor, He was part of the 1993 NFL rookie team, and just overall, I mean, this is a productive football player that no one talks about. Again, this is what Seattle has done in the past. They've always had their fair share of players that are under the radar, but they turn out to be pretty good. It's kind of a shame that Chad Brown doesn't really get talked about much. Outside of Seattle, I would imagine. I'm sure everyone in Seattle knows who Chad Brown is. But Chad Brown, though, fantastic. He's going to do great things, and this defense is going to do great things. All right, middle linebacker is going to be Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner deserves to be on this list even at 27 years old because of what he's done for the city on and off the field. First of all, amazing person off the field. On the field, he's a stud. He's a tackling machine. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He's a 3-time All-Pro. He's won the Super Bowl. He's been a part of some fantastic defenses, and he doesn't ever seem to not amaze me. He always amazes me all the time, and he gets snubbed out of what I would say he should win Defensive Player of the Year. He should have won Defensive Player of the Year twice in a row right now. Has been snubbed out of it, but to be honest with you, he deserves that award wholeheartedly. What he's been able to do in his short amount of time, to getting over 800 tackles in 5 years, to getting 15.5 sacks for a linebacker, to having multiple fumble recoveries, multiple pass deflections, 8 picks. I mean, this is a guy that's going to be a Hall of Famer. This is a guy that, honestly, I would not want to see him go anywhere but stay in Seattle. He's that kind of guy. He's been a 2012 NFL rookie team. He's been on the NFL Top 100, which they previously made, But overall, this is a guy that you want him on your team. If you want to start a team, I would want to start with Bobby Wagner and then try to fit all the pieces together. I think just Bobby Wagner is he is the backbone of everything Seattle, and I think he deserves more credit, and he's a fantastic linebacker who's going to definitely kill it on this all-time team. Last but not least, their final outside linebacking core, Lofa Tatupu. He definitely has a longer name than that, but we're just going to cut it short to that, Lofa Tatupu. He only played for 5 years. But this is a guy that made the Pro Bowl 3 times and was an All-Pro, and he was a part of the team that went to the Super Bowl in 2006. A guy that racked up multiple tackles. He was a guy that could get 100 tackles in a year. He was a guy that could get sacks. He was a guy that could do everything that you really asked him to. Interceptions, pass deflections, forced fumbles, recovering fumbles, just being there and playing games. He was a reliable guy. So overall, the fact that he did retire at 28 years old is rough and not fun. But the time that he spent there, the time he spent in the NFL, was well worth it. I mean, became a 2005 NFL rookie team and was a very big backbone to this organization. Again, he is a middle linebacker, so I had to move him to outside. I think no matter where he plays, he's going to be perfect, and he's going to be a great player and productive. I just can't have Bobby. I think Bobby deserves to be the middle linebacker, but Lofa Tupu, Chad Brown, and Bobby Wagner is going to be a pretty good linebacking core, so I think they should be fine. All right, we start with the secondary. It's going to be corner Richard Sherman, a guy that many people don't want to test, and when they do get, they get kind of robbed. Because Sherm, no matter how much criticism he's gotten, no matter how much people have thought and questioned his entire athleticism and the way to cover people, he's one of the best defensive backs in the game, and you can't argue with that. He really has done his part and his share of being one of the best corners for years, and it's a shame that he is also out of the picture in Seattle. He is now a 49er. He got himself a deal of, I believe, 2 years worth, 40+ mil or something like that. All I know is that Richard Sherman is going to do great things. Hopefully his injuries don't make him slower or take anything from his athleticism, because he is very athletic, and hopefully he shines in his new team. I know Seattle fans are pretty depressed with the fact that there is no Michael Bennett, there is no Richard Sherman anymore, but that's how life goes, right? Anyway, Richard Sherman has always been out to prove he's the best, and he's done nothing short of proving that to us. He has been one of the best defensive backs in the game. A 4-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time All-Pro. He's won the Super Bowl. Of course, part of the Super Bowl team in 2013. I mean, a guy has 32 career picks in 6 years, and a guy that's been able to have multiple pass deflections, multiple fumbles, and honestly, he's racked up over 300 tackles. So this is a man that really does know how to be productive and how to be that spark, Part of the 2011 NFL rookie team. He's done many, many great things for this organization in Seattle, and best of luck to him out there in San Francisco. But I do know that Richard Sherman, though, as a Seahawk, always be remembered as one of the best corners to ever put on a Seahawk uniform. Now, you thought Richard Sherman, testing him would be difficult. This entire secondary is going to be difficult to target because the other corner on the other side is going to be Marcus Trufant, a guy that honestly was one of the best corners for a while in the league. For a long time, he was mentioned as one of the best corners in the game. Couldn't even be touched. And if we can get that with Sherm, you're gonna have little to none passing yards from the other all-time teams. Honestly, this is a good. I like this duo. I think Trufant and Sherman, they complement themselves really well. Trufant also has something that a lot of people don't in this team, and that he is a Washington native. He was born in Tacoma. He went to high school at Wilson. He went to Washington State in Pullman, and then he got drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, and he stayed in Seattle. He's a Washington guy. He's a Washington native, and one Pro Bowl doesn't do him justice. This is a guy that should have won multiple awards. He should have been on it multiple times. Just overall, fantastic individual, fantastic football player. Racked up many tackles, racked up many interceptions. He's played in many games. Overall, he's been that guy. And I think, if you're looking to break up passes, him and Sherman are two of the best. And I think it's going to be hard having these guys out there when the offense is trying to start something, and the two corners are regarding two of the best in their generations. So, yeah, Marcus Trufant, though, He's going to be something to this secondary. Now, free safety wise, they have one of the best free safeties of all time, like top 5 at least, right? Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas is going to do so well for them. He does it all. He's an everything kind of guy. Without him, there's a lot of things that go wrong. So you got to give this guy a lot of credit. Earl Thomas, though, fantastic. A guy that came out of Texas, and he was drafted early on, and he proved why he is one of the best. A 6-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion. The possibility of him leaving Seattle. There's a possibility he goes to Dallas, which again, that's very sad. They're losing a lot of that, the key pieces there. It's sad. But when he was in Seattle, you're looking at a guy that was a force to be reckoned with. That could do it all. Literally can do it all as a D-back, and his speed impeccable. He can go from one side of the football field to the other in a matter of seconds. Playmaker and the backbone of this defense, along with Bobby. Him and Bobby were two of the, like, if you lost Bobby and you lost Earl, you lost a lot of the heart of that. Even though a lot of the power will be to the strong safety, which you'll see who it is. But I mean, Earl Thomas, though, his production and his influence in this team and everything they've done, it speaks volume. So yeah, Earl Thomas, though, for free safety, nothing more else I can say. He's racked up a lot of stats overall. Multiple tackles, multiple interceptions, multiple everything. So yeah, it's gonna be scary. All right, strong safety. You're looking at the rock of the team. It's Cam Chancellor. Cam Chancellor, his possibility of leaving Seattle is also in question. Again, they are really becoming the Legion of Doom. It went from the Legion of Boom to the Legion of Doom. But this is a fantastic set of men that play with their hearts, and they get it done. And that's all you can ask for, is people to play with their heart and people to get the job done. Cam Chancellor is a 4-time Pro Bowler, and he's won the Super Bowl. He's been a part of those Super Bowl teams. He's been a part of all these fantastic teams. But the possibility of him possibly going to retirement is also in question, which is really sad, because this guy has a lot of career statistics of, you don't realize it, but, he's well known for his hitting, okay? Power hitter, oh yeah, that guy rocked everyone, but people don't really realize what he did overall. He could be a corner if you wanted to put him out there. He could be a safety, a free safety. He could do a lot of things. He's a big guy, so he's going to hit you hard, and he's going to hit you fast, and he's going to play fast and hard. So the fact that he was the ability of, having multiple tackles. He's also a guy that's had multiple interceptions. People don't know about him, or the fact that he's had a bunch of pass deflections, a bunch of fumbles. He's a chaotic man. He's going to create a lot of chaos for the offense he plays, and he's not going to be afraid of anyone he plays. And so the biggest question for me is, how much can that team that plays this defense, how much are they gonna run out of gas? Because I feel like they would. This is a good defense. This is a very good defense. So anyone that doesn't think so is out of their mind. This is a really good defense, and I think this could, this defense could potentially win a Super Bowl all-time wise, honestly. It also helps to have a great special teams, and that's exactly what Seattle's going to have. They have one of the most accurate kickers of all time. Stephen Hauschka is one of the most accurate field goal kickers of all time. An 87.3 field goal percentage? Like, are you kidding me? He's not in Seattle anymore. He's in Buffalo. He's been in Buffalo for a year now. But this is a guy, when he was over there in Seattle, rarely missed. Like, rarely missed. I don't know why they didn't pay him. I don't know why they let him go, and they got Blair Walsh. That's weird. But Stephen Hauschka is a one-time Super Bowl champion. Didn't even get a Pro Bowl in. Should be a Pro Bowler. Should be a multiple-time Pro Bowler for what he's done. But yeah, a guy that's accurate, not going to miss much, and he's going to play his butt off. There's nothing more that you can ask. Honestly, I think Hauschka, he's the guy. He's the go-to man. So, yeah, that's a good start for their special teams. Punter, they're going to have the best punter they've had in their entire history, which is John Ryan, a guy that's a Super Bowl champion as well. Played in Seattle for 10 years, played in Green Bay for 2. He has 40-plus punt yards, 40,000-plus punt yards, and he's been around forever. So overall, also a guy that's actually not bad when it comes to passing. and he's actually not bad at all when it comes to having plays within him that require him to run or pass. So athletic guy, athletic punter, and exactly who you need. And I think John Ryan's he's gonna do really well for this team, and like he always does. Power returner, and just returner in general. Tyler Lockett is very young, so I can't put him in there. He still has years to go for me to actually put him there. He will probably end up being there, but right now it's going to be Leon Washington. When he was in Seattle, he did wonders for them, punt return wise, kick return wise. Kick return, he had 4 touchdowns over there. He had 3,000 plus kick return yards. Punt return, he had over 1,000 plus punt return yards. Like, this is a guy that's very, very devoted to his craft, and he's a shifty guy, nifty guy, and I think he's going to provide what they need in terms of returning kicks and returning punts and getting them in good field position. So, yeah, not much else I can say, but he's going to be productive for this team. And lastly, the coach is going to be Pete Carroll. He's the only guy that's got him a Super Bowl in Seattle. He's also a guy that's made players want to play for him because they can be themselves with him. And just an overall great mentor, a guy that's had a lot of success, and this is the first time that he's not in the playoffs in a long time with the Seahawks. He had a 1 year there with the Jets, got fired, went to the Pats, didn't do too shabby, but didn't win anything. Then he went to Seattle, and ever since now he's doing well. He's got him to at least number 1 or 2 in the division every year. He's been able to produce players that are 5th rounders that become studs, Pro Bowlers, possible Hall of Famers. And Pete Carroll, he's done it all, man. He's a Super Bowl champion, and he got back to the Super Bowl. Even if they lost, he still got back to the Super Bowl twice in a row. So this is a team that can win, will win, and at some point I'd like him to win another Super Bowl. But he's got a lot of energy, and he's exactly what Seattle needs. And I believe wholeheartedly that this team is gonna win something.